suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party.
All right, welcome back to another week of Stoned Appetit. And I shouldn't say week because we kind of drop ours sporadically. But at the same time, we come to you when we have a good story. And we're back with another interesting guest to tell us a great story. But before we do that, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. As y'all have heard us talk about in the last couple episodes, we partnered up with Kyoto Botanicals, spelled Kyoto Botanicals.com. And what they offer is they offer CBD in a wide array of product lines, whether it be gummies, tinctures, doggy treats, balms for your bath or for yourself just after, let's say, a backache after shoveling the snow. They literally have it all, and so we figured why the hell not? And so we teamed up with them. Not only has Jerry been spry, his hips look great, but at the same time, Kip's anxiety is gone, and he's sleeping through the night without any issues. So I can't vouch for him enough. As y'all know, I'm a big drug guy, and this is one of my favorite ones I've found yet. So check out our friends over at Kyoto Botanicals. And if you end up buying something on the website, use promo code Stoned Appetit, and they give you 20% off, I think, which is actually a really righteous deal. But that's, to each their own. I understand Chris is not a CBD guy, but we won't dive into that. But he is right to my left. So let's get into an episode. This week we're coming to you from the Stoned Appetit studio. So if you hear the background noise today, it may be a little bit different than our regular bar patrons. You may hear doggos or just ruffling of potato chips and dank-ass snacks. But we're coming to you from the studio. Chris, to my left, how are you today, CB?
I'm doing well. I just had a tasty sip of this Oh Hi.
Oh, yeah? And what is an Oh Hi, Chris?
Beats the shit out of me. It looks like it's high tea. I'm drinking high tea right now, so we're getting lifted before we start.
Okay, so fun fact, it's got THC in it is what Chris was trying to say there. And the reason he's sipping on those guys is because we're sitting here with the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that we've been talking to from the company, Brad Belenger. Did I get the name right?
You did. That was impressive, actually. That is usually never done.
Especially on this fucking podcast. Yeah, thank you. Chris, I appreciate you trying to plug that.
Belenger is usually the one that comes out the most.
Well, we're not stupid. I'm just redneck.
We're just slower.
Yeah. Things go a little different pace for us. And that's thanks to some of your products, but we're going to dive into all of that. Mm-hmm. But we appreciate you coming over to join us today. Like Chris mentioned, Oh Hi is a CBD and THC tea and sparkling seltzer company.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what y'all are they're based out of here in Colorado. They're sold out of dispensaries around the town. Mm-hmm. We'll talk to the man, the myth, the legend about it. But we like to start every episode. We want to get to know the man behind the brand. Okay. So we're going to ask you to take off the brand hat. Chris has got a couple hard-hitting questions for you, and we'll just get to know you a little bit. Let our listeners get to know you. But thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm Brad. I've worked in the cannabis industry now for like 6 years, and I started out with a beverage company. Never, worked like in the black market of cannabis either. That sometimes comes up sometimes. Hold on.
We can hold on.
All right. First of all, so you never picked up like quarter bags or things like that?
Thank you, Chris.
I never I've picked them up. Like
right. You never sold them.
I've never been a person that was distributing or selling or anything like that. I've always been.
That feels like it's a PSA. Like he was like, "Let me get out ahead of anything that happens in this episode." Yeah. His first words were like, "My name's Brad. I'm not a drug dealer."
Let's start there.
His mom is going to listen to this episode.
Guilty by association.
I think it's kind of important to like make that clear because we are, I think it needs to get to a point in a national level eventually where it is a more accepting concept that, like, when we say we work in the cannabis industry, a lot of people that are not in it or in the same state where it's legal, they immediately
Drug dealer.
Oh, you mean you sell weed? And it's like,
Imagine telling them you have a podcast where you just get high and eat shit.
Right.
Because that's what we
That's
do,
what you
and
guys
our
do.
parents look at us like we're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong.
No.
But let's learn. We want to know. We'll take that back a second. Chris, give him the old 1-2.
Yeah.
Give me the 1-2. Okay.
So the original question we always start off with is, first of all, are you a transplant or a native?
I am actually from New York.
So you're a transplant.
I'm a transplant, yeah.
Solid.
Yep. But
And
I'm
what
a
part of New
diehard
York?
Denver Broncos fan. So
There you
I don't
go.
know if that gives me any.
No, it probably
bonus.
gives you haters back in New York.
Oh, for sure.
And probably it's not going to get you any fans. We're not really like. I mean, despite the fact that I'm vying for a Barstool job, I don't think that we're really a sports heavy podcast.
Yeah.
So. Shout out to all of our Denver fans out there, but
Unfortunately,
I like to review the food. GQ Barbecue works out of Empower Field, so and I like going to the games, but we're by no means technically diehards. So how did you become a diehard out of what part of New York?
I'm from way upstate. I'm 1 hour outside of the border of Canada, actually. In fact,
why aren't you an Argonauts fan?
I don't know. I don't know how it happened. A lot of people were Buffalo Bills or Giants fans. But my family, for some reason or another, my dad and brother were Packers fans. And on my own whim of life, decided, I like this John Elway guy. I like blue and orange. I'm like, 7 years old.
I get it. I have the same affinity for the Cowboys from growing up, and I was like, now I hate Jerry Jones to death. In fact, I wish he would die rather sooner than later.
And now I don't know a thing about football. To be honest with you,
What?
I can't pay attention to anything. I don't know. I couldn't tell you a thing.
Well, what brought you to Colorado?
And that's the thing. It's fate. It's kind of weird. I feel like I just came here based on just what just life brought me here somehow.
You didn't know anybody coming out here?
No, well, so when I lived in New York City, I was doing stand-up comedy out there.
Oh, wait, time out. Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's fucking awesome as well.
Yeah, and
What's your best joke?
Oh, don't do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. It's all right.
We'll simmer on it because it will
we'll
come
talk
up.
about it later. No, but it was, foolish, kind of young, met this girl. She lived in New Mexico. She was graduating from Dartmouth. And I went out to New Mexico and with her, because that's where her family's from.
Yeah.
After she graduated. And it didn't work out, and I ended up in Denver. And then I ended up in Boulder. Because it was the next state closest, and I was like, well, this is life.
I feel like that's a smart progression, though. I mean, at least from even from Santa Fe or even the whole state of New Mexico up to Denver, that's a common sense play.
For sure.
Great, that's an A+ move.
Yeah, and I could have told you right off the bat.
But the
your
New York to
girlfriend
Santa
being from Dartmouth, that ain't gonna work out.
the New York City comedian.
I don't know how smart you are yet.
She hated her parents. I could have told you that.
Yeah, that didn't end well.
Okay, so you ventured up to Denver.
I ventured up to Denver, and then now ended up in Boulder, and I was originally going to be an EMT.
Oh shit!
That was the goal.
A comedic EMT.
That was my. For me, like a lot of comedians will do like some kind of dead end job. And just
saving lives is not a dead. But we call those frontline heroes.
Well, no, but like
and you can get some good bits off of it, I'm sure.
but I've always like had pretty good jobs, like you know what I mean, like
yeah.
And I wanted to make a good living on top of doing comedy as a hobby, So
we know that very well,
yeah.
And we're not a comedy podcast. We try to inform about local businesses and cool products.
Yeah,
but we know all about the side hustle
for sure.
Just keeping it afloat.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to live to make ends meet. I do want to live well, and I want to work hard to make money. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah, it's important. So I ended up
in Boulder,
in Denver, and the choice was this EMT job and going this route, or I would work for Cannapunch, and it was like an edibles company. same sort of deal.
Are they still around?
I believe so. Yeah.
Can of punch.
And so I was like, I could take this this job in production, putting product in package and taping up boxes and whatnot, but having
getting your foot in the door.
Getting a foot in the door.
Yeah.
Or with no benefits, but making probably similar money or saving lives and probably post-traumatic stress, and going down this whole other route. And then also I love stand-up comedy, and I want to be able to do that as well.
Yeah. And so did that obviously, saving lives didn't create as much free time.
No. So
I
went the can of
I can understand that.
Yeah.
We all get, we have to pick our battles.
So long story short, I worked there for 4 years. And now I work for Oh Hi Beverages, and we are just on the up and up, and we are really making our way as a beverage in the THC market here in Colorado and in Oklahoma now as well.
Yeah, so we've talked with some folks about this because the pandemic last year has been pretty righteous for the weed companies. I think everybody's had a great year.
Yeah.
While everybody else was hurting. It reminds you of the pandemic special from South Park.
Totally.
But yeah, so it seems like you've made a migration to a company that y'all started roughly about what? Oh Hi started what, in 2018 or 19? Y'all haven't been around too terribly long, but y'all have a fairly large fingerprint in the market.
For the last 2 years, and we won High Times Cannabis Cup for our pomegranate seltzer, our 10 milligram pomegranate seltzer. One High Times.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why it's not here, by the way, because it's sold out at the dispensary that I went to go pick it up at.
Yeah, but what you did bring was you brought some of y'all's newer products that just launched.
That's right.
One of which jacks you up. It's like a natural speedball. They have, the high tea like Chris was enjoying. It almost tastes like a little bit of an Arizona tea. But one of those things that we talk about when we talk with edible companies and companies that work in the cannabis is how you've been able to mask the flavor. And I don't know how we went so quickly into the company instead of talking more about you and maybe some of the cooler things you've done as a comedian.
Well, yeah, we
can do them both.
Yeah,
we can do them both.
We can swing in and out of it,
Yeah, we'll just zig and zag, wherever the conversation takes us.
I mean, to be honest with you, that's just kind of what my life's been. It's been organically finding myself in touch with the owners of Oh Hi, for instance, are really just down to earth, really cool people that have really good intentions. And just so happen to, find each other, and I find myself finding them at the right time because, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I'm a fan of cannabis. I've always been somebody who, I wouldn't be shy to tell you, I smoke weed, I love weed, and that's why we're in a state where it's legal. When I first started. In the industry.
Was that a swing vote for you to come here? Sorry, before you get started.
No, yeah.
Was it where you're like, well, shit, if I go to Denver, at least I can get high, and there's a metropolis where there's comedy works and other things. Was that one of those ideas?
It was, yeah, and that was kind of
cannabis pulled you here a little bit?
Absolutely. Just the idea of not needing to feel I'm breaking the law or I'm a criminal because I want to consume cannabis. Was such a wow, what a comfort that is. What a convenience that is that I can just go down to a store, and hey, this is a strain wait, you guys, what is this, a drink?
Right.
And for me, I have a pretty a background with beverages. When I graduated from high school, I moved to Ireland. I'm a dual citizen in Ireland, and I work for 7-Up and PepsiCo UK on their marketing team.
Dude, we are going such an awesome direction. You went what?
Yeah. So
he's at least our first
dual citizen.
Dual citizen, yeah.
Maybe.
And comedian.
Yeah.
And a comedian? Did you do any shows?
I started doing stand-up in Ireland.
In Ireland?
In Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hold on. Okay. So hold
this
on.
Is everywhere.
So you're a
it.
dual citizen. So let's just get this straight. One of your parents is
my mom.
Your mom's
is born and raised in Ireland. She's she has a Conor McGregor accent.